Poi vediamo in base a sé. Ok, va bene.
C'è qualche giusto.
Certo, certo. Buon pomeriggio a tutti. Che voce. Buon pomeriggio, ciao. Prima cosa, per capire solo in che lingua procedere con questo pomeriggio, volevo capire quanti non parlanti in inglese ci sono in sala. How many non-Italian language speaker in here? Okay, it's enough. Okay, let's switch to English. Okay, good. And so, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to be here. And the second thing, would you like, please, to come and feel this desert in the first row? Just not mean the very first, but maybe the third or in here. Just because it could be maybe better that we can relate maybe a bit more in this way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. So you cannot run away. You cannot escape now. Very good. Thanks. Okay, here. Cheers to the followers in the streaming. Hello. Ready to go this afternoon. My name is Massimiliano Trevisan, and today in here we are presenting FameLab International, Talking Science. This is the topic of the afternoon. I know you know. And actually, what is FameLab? We are doing this afternoon in this way. In the first part, I will present you this contest, this event. And then we are very lucky to have some of the past participants, some of the past contestants in this challenge. And then in the end, in the third part of this very short afternoon, we will play together to make some points in science communication that actually is that. We are talking about science communication in this afternoon. And so let's start with FameLab itself. Okay. What is FameLab? FameLab is a contest, is a talent show. It's a talent show, and we are very proud to define a talent show. Actually, maybe it's a bit strange because we are talking about science and talent show, but we like to call FameLab a talent show because we are very interested in scouting talents in science communication. So exactly the same to what you can see in TV. I mean, we are the master chef of the science communication. And so it's a public speaking contest. It's not a journalism contest. It's not an art and science contest. It's a spoken word contest. And what's the target of FameLab? Actually, young researchers. Researchers is much or less clear. Maybe could not be what's a young researcher. In Italy, overall, it's quite difficult to define what's young. And overall, FameLab is also a training and a visibility opportunity, and we will see in a moment why. And in the end, FameLab is an event intended an event for the audience, for a general, very general audience. Okay, so let's recap what's FameLab looking for. In this contest, young researchers will present a topic in a just 3 minutes presentation. 3 minutes, no more, no less. So we are looking for a certain capability to cut a presentation in an exact amount of time, 3 minutes. What's that? I mean, what's happening if you go with a presentation maybe in 3 minutes and 20 seconds? Well, actually, nothing happens, of course. You will not be bring out of the stage. But the jury, and we will see what the jury is, the jury will really look for this exactitude, 3 minutes. In this kind of presentation, in FameLab presentations, no images are allowed, just because it's not a kind of conference presentation we are looking for, but it's really a spoken word, again, spoken word presentation. So you talking for 3 minutes about science. And props are allowed in this contest. I mean, you can bring, during this event, any kind of prop you can bring yourself. For example, small objects you can have in your pockets, maybe not too small. You can bring something on the stage with you, but anyway, you have to be independent. I mean, you cannot ask anybody to help you bringing something on the stage. So, of course, in that sense, you can bring also a kind of image. If you bring a picture like that, because it's important for your presentation, actually it is allowed, even if it's an image that could not be allowed. What do you mean? What do we mean with no images allowed? Is no PowerPoint, of course, not a selection of slides. And I want to explicit this because in some past edition of this contest, some contestants brought a very big panel with 4 or 5 very big paper sheets and started to sfogliare, I don't know how sfogliare is, to unfold this like it was a kind of analogic PowerPoint presentation. Actually, that is not allowed because the main focus, of course, is spoken word. So, I hope that if you are here this afternoon, maybe you are a bit interested in science communication and maybe in spoken science communication. So, imagine a stage. And here in L'Aquila, then, we can have some few details more about the stage later. And in this stage, you will be introduced by a presenter to make your presentation. The other characters, the other main characters of this show is the jury. Because the jury, the jury could be on the stage with the presenter, or maybe in the first row faced to the presenter. I don't know actually how in L'Aquila was in last edition, maybe? Next to, okay. And the jury is composed by some experts in several different disciplines, science disciplines, maybe one from the hard sciences, maybe math, physics, or I don't know, and maybe another from the life sciences, or a mix, a balanced mix of them, and also, in a good composition of a jury, also by an expert in communication in general. Could be science communication, or just communication, maybe a journalist, maybe a radio presenter, maybe, don't know. And the jury is very important because, you know, do you like talent shows, TV talent shows? No, not at all. No one? Nobody like any, why are you here? What are you doing here? A free afternoon? No, actually, even if you don't like talent shows. In the talent shows storytelling, the jury is very important because it's just what is opposed to the presenter or the participant. So let's call the jury the bad part of the show, of course, not meaning that the jury is bad, of course, but is the counterbalance of your presentation. The environment will be extremely fine. There will not be hard breaks or some kind of nasty talks. But the jury has to know in so few minutes who you are and how good are you at presenting. So after the presentation, the jury, the judges, can make some questions, very open questions, of course. And the goal is to maybe to scratch a little bit more under your skin, to know exactly who you are and if what you represented is really part of you or not, or just curiosity to know why are you participating at this science communication contest. So this will be very short, I mean, maybe in a couple of minutes, a little dialogue between the jury and the presenter. And then the next contestant will appear on the stage. Okay, so what, what are the judges, the FameLab judges looking for in presentations? These are the criteria, international criteria, about this contest. I mean international because FameLab is a really international event, an international contest. FameLab was born in the UK in 2005, so quite a while. And then it spread around the world thanks to the British Council, that is the main general partner of this event. British Council is an institution whose goal is to spread British culture around the world. So these are the criteria: content, clarity, charisma, the 3 C's we are looking for. And that's the same all around the world, actually. And if you mind, of course, they are not exclusively to FameLab. They are very important in general in science communication, as we can see in a while. Okay. Who can participate to FameLab? What's the requirement? What are the requirements in participating to FameLab? The first requirement is the age. We try to define what's a young researcher, in Italy at least. So we were looking for people between 18 and 40. Why 40? We decided we had to put a limit. In the very first edition, in 2012, that was the first Italian edition, we had not a limit. And in the 4 cities where FameLab was organized in the very first edition, it was filled by retired people, maybe retired teachers, who were looking for a stage for them to show maybe their will to present, their will to communicate to the world. But actually, we were looking for young researchers. So we had to put a limit to this. Maybe we received some reclami, complaints about this, but actually it's a game, and as every game, we had to put some requirements. The second, it is the first, 2000, this year is the first year we put the second limit. Actually, we are looking for people that have an active career. I mean, It could be a student, a university student. Of course, not a high school student. It can be a PhD student, a master student, a specialization school student, whatever. Or can be, of course, a researcher in all the variety of possibility we have to define a researcher. We are not looking for just people that has a regular researcher contract, but we are looking for assegnisti, for borsisti, every kind of possibility, but with a certain relation with an institution. So we cannot accept people that has not this kind of relation with an institution, university, or maybe even a private institution. And this is because in past edition, we had the problem to face with so many people that in that particular moment had not idea what they are going to do in their life, and just try one opportunity. And we decided that that was not the goal of FameLab. We are not looking for cani sciolti in science communication. We are looking for people who works every day in science. And another, another requirement is, what is science? I mean, what kind of scientist we are looking for, or what kind of scientist we can admit to this challenge? Actually, the definition is the STEM: science, technology, engineering, and medicine. So that we forcibly have to exclude people coming from social science. I mean, even if a big amount of quantitative science is in that, but from the international rules, we cannot upset economics, psychology. It's an hard limit, but this is the way FameLab is doing things right now. Of course, this also is having lots of complaints during these days, but this is it. And of course, you should not be a finalist in past editions of FameLab. So these are the entry requirements. I'm going quite fast to the point because I want to make clear the rules and the kind of event we are going. So, as we are looking for scientists, we cannot admit, of course, professionals in communication, even if they are, of course, related to science communication. So we cannot admit journalists that work in science communication or in science institutes, press offices, or other kind of professionals in that field. We cannot admit teachers because of the first edition in which that was full of teachers. And as I told before, we cannot admit the social sciences scientists. Okay, just to make the point, we are here in L'Aquila, and in amount, much or less, we are going to have the local selection. And let's take a look to what is happening during these days. This is the map of Italy, of the cities where FameLab is going through its process of selections of participants. So we have actually 10 selections in a total of 12 cities. That's because in Puglia are doing things very, very big, because they are selecting people in 3 different cities. So from each of these cities, 2 participants will be selected during the selection process. So in the end, we will have an amount of 20 people that will be the FameLab finalists for this year. What are they going to do next? Okay, so the local selection in L'Aquila, all the FameLab L'Aquila, will be on Thursday, March 14, at 9, here in Gran Sasso Institute, Gran Sasso Science Institute. And the selection in L'Aquila is organized by 3 organizers, of course, and they are l'Università dell'Aquila, Univac, l'Università dell'Aquila, poi i laboratori nazionali del Gran Sasso e ovviamente qua dove siamo ospitati, here, il Gran Sasso Science Institute. Questi sono i 3 partner, non ho messo i loghi, mi scuserete, i 3 partner in sala, non ho messo i loghi. And the whole selection will be on the same day, but it will be split into 2 phases. The first phase will be called pre-selection, and during this phase, all participants will present, like come un provino, like a open stage. After this run of presentations, the jury will select some of the best. How many will be decided in relation to the total number of participants. Normally, in a pre-selection with 15 participants, that could be a number, an average number of the participants in a city, much or less the half of them will be selected for the second phase, the second step, that will take that will happen in the same day, just after the first run. That is called local final, where in the end the 2 best presentations will be selected. So first phase, everybody can present, the jury select, and then the second run, and in the end the selection. So if you want to participate to this selection, you have to prepare 2 presentations, different presentations, because if you have the chance or maybe the ability to pass through the first phase, you need to present a second different presentation. And I stress this point because what is different? I mean, it's a totally different topic that I have not explored in the first part. No, actually not at all, of course. If you are a specialist in a certain field, it is not required to change everything. But the presentation should not be the same. I mean, you can tell just a bit different topic. You can tell exactly the same topic in a different way, so you can change just the way of presentation, the narrative around your topic. The very important thing is that the presentation has to be different from, the second presentation has to be different from the first. That's why, because we as FameLab, we are looking for not just a people that had a brilliant idea for one presentation, and it's enough. We are looking for people with the ability to tell science stories. And that's very important because in the life after FameLab, this is the feature that can last. We are collecting, during these years, we are collecting so many researchers with the talent of storytelling in science that can be used, let me say, in very different contexts and in very different environment than FameLab, with the ability to write and perform and deliver a presentation. We organized so many other events, and it happened very much that FameLabbers are the team of very fast and very precisely writing and performing a presentation. So that's why we are looking for different presentations. Okay, imagine this process on Thursday, 14 March, passed through. We have the names of the two best presenters in that morning. What's next? All the participants, or the finalists in Italy, so 20 people, will participate to a masterclass in science communication, the exclusive FameLab masterclass, that will that will be in Perugia in April from 12 to 14. And this masterclass is compulsory to participate to the final, the national final of the contest. What kind of masterclass is that? Actually, it is a masterclass in science communication where some of the best science communicators in Europe will train people, of course, in elaborate a good presentation for FameLab, but also in a more general view in science communication. So actually, the FameLab Masterclass has a really big value in training and also in a personal path of thinking or entering science communication. In the end, the national final will happen. In the past 3 editions, it was in Rome, usually in May, in the month of May. And this is a picture of the last year national final. It was in Auditorium Parco della Musica in Rome during the National Geographic Science Festival. And it has been a very big show, very nice show, with a very big stage, you can see, with some important guests. Anybody of you know Lorenzo Baglioni? See, okay, I see your faces going up and down. He's a mathematician coming from Firenze, but he's also an actor, a comedy actor, that had very big popularity on the YouTube because he's writing songs about science, very, very precise, very tough also songs, and but in the way of a parody of famous singers. Maybe the most famous is the boy band called Supplenti Italiani that he has created, explaining il teorema di Ruffini or other very hard science rules, but with a very big sense of humor. Other very important guests in the last edition, Amalia Ercoli Finzi, one of the first, maybe the first Italian aerospace engineer woman, and Marco Molina, who designed some very important tools to make analysis on the comet that a few years ago we landed on. So, in the national final, an Italian winner will be, in the end, selected. And the end of this path of selection is the international final that will be in Cheltenham in the UK, a small town near Bristol, during the Cheltenham Science Festival, and that will be in June, and gathering all the about 30 winners in all countries. The Italian winner will represent Italy in science communication. So it's really a talent show, you know. The talent show, you come from the very low rows, or the very low level, and then you raise and you become the champion of the talent. These are the countries that participated last year that will be much or less confirmed in this year edition. Here you can, if you are curious to know how the final is going on, you can take a look to this TV program. We have several collaboration, media partnerships with medias. One of them is a partnership with Rai Cultura, the cultural channel of the National Italy Television. That is the channel, you know, the channel number nobody knows because over the 6, we don't know. Actually, it's 146 on the Italian television is the channel 146. It's called also Rai Scuola. Actually, they did a very nice TV program based on this talent show. You can see, I made a short link. You can watch the entire program at this link. They try to tell FameLab exactly the talent show way, making interviews to contestants and asking, in the first part, asking expectations, and in the second part, asking for a comment for the general experience. It's a very nice program. Okay, so in the end, I have done this fast run across FameLab. So if you're here, maybe a bit of interest already is taking place in your mind. So why take part to FameLab? I can give you my suggestions. Of course, if you're interested in public engagement of science, FameLab can be an open door to that. I mean, you can enter the world of relating to an audience, talking about science with this kind of event. Of course, as we have with FameLab several training opportunities, is also an occasion to improve your skills in science communication, your skills to deliver a good presentation. That, of course, is a value in a whole career of a scientist. The opportunity is also to learn from some of the best, because we will host this year in the FameLab Masterclass 2 English very famous trainers. One is one of the founders of FameLab, Mr. Frank Barnett, with lots of experience in science communication. And of course, you can enter in FameLab a network of scientists with a passion for science communication. And that's one of the things that can remain for a long time after FameLab. All in all, I mean, FameLab is not, FameLab is a game. FameLab is not a compulsory, serious thing. One of the main reason to participate in FameLab is just because it's fun. So if you like to have fun talking science, FameLab could be good enough for you. So again, I put here, without logos, the dates, just to leave it here. And okay, do you have any questions about the rules or some doubt point that maybe in this fast run I have not explicitated?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Do we have to present something in our field? For example, if I'm a mathematician, can I talk about medicine?
Okay, you can. It is allowed, of course. We will not check, oh, she's not talking.
Because you're checking that you're working in STEM, so that's why I got worried.
Yeah, you can tell, of course, a topic that is not your particular field of work. Let me say that I will not suggest to do like this, because it is very, very clear to the judges, but to the audience too, when you are really telling what's in your pocket and when you are not. The experience of this past 7 editions tell me that it is not actually too convenient. You can, of course. I'm not saying no, for sure, no. I can tell you the experience of a finalist in the 2nd edition. Simone Kodermaz is actually he's not died, so he's a physicist, and he had done a very good job presenting some physics topics in the selection, and even in the semi-final in the national semifinal. And I don't know why, in the very end, in the final, he decided to talk about biology, to talk about exobiology. So maybe because he thought it was a topic, a trending topic, I mean, aliens and all this. And even if he was very good at presenting, the jury, the judges really got that it was not his topic. He was not doing any kind of research in that topics. They asked for just a couple of details more, and there he really broke. So you have to be very, very sure that this topic, even if it's not your field of study, is something that is in your pocket too. That's my personal suggestion. And maybe a thing that I have not explicited is that Italian and English languages presentations are allowed, so you can choose. Of course, there's no clear reason for an Italian person to present in English, but anyway, you can. And of course, English is one of the admitted languages for presentations.
Are there any prize? Is there any prize?
Good question, yes. And the answer is no. No money prizes. In the final, as we are still defining something, some points with the final, it should be in Milano, probably. Not certain at this point. It depends, maybe it can be some prizes that depend from sponsors, but in default, no prizes. And it's a choice because we've found that sometimes a big reward in terms of price is also changing the competition. So the goal is not, maybe the audience is not a good show, is a good presentation, and I want to take something. Just in one edition, we put a good price. It was 1,000 euros in 2013, and it was maybe the worst competition. The environment was very tense. Contestants in the final were not doing together something for the audience. So we prefer to think FameLab as a big show for the audience, a big service we give to the audience, more than, of course, a personal elevation of a contestant. Okay, so if there is not any question, we can maybe, yes, we can listen to some participants in the past edition. Excuse me? Deadline for the application. In 8, March the 8th, here in L'Aquila, of course. Okay, let me introduce Antonio Condorelli, participant of the last year.
So,
He was in the photo of the final last year.
very famous.
Famous.
Good afternoon, I'm Antonio. If someone doesn't know me, I'm a student here, second year in astroparticle physics. And this will be an informal dialogue between me and you about my experience of last year. But because they forced me to prepare a presentation, so I try to ask questions to myself and reply. Hope that we have the same question. So the first question that I try to ask to myself: how did you know FameLab? I was actually a master's student in Catania, and thanks to this handsome guy, he's called Salvo Mirabelle. It was one of my professors who forced all his students to join FameLab. That's why he asked me, why in Catania there are so many people who join FameLab, thanks to this guy. And so I was not his student, but I saw many of my friends join this competition. And in Catania they are really, really weird. I saw one talk in which one guy took to arancini to simulate two molecules, something like this, or something super strange. So when in L'Aquila I saw all this paper, I already knew like what is like the competition. I choose to join this competition at least like 1 year ago. I was in the Grand Hotel, like together with some of my colleagues. We had a discussion. I was talking about one of my experience before my PhD. For a short period, I was a teacher in a high school in Piemonte, and I did also an exam, you know, like high school final exam. And I was like, we were laughing about like two funny stories that I have. This is this is in Italian. I try to translate something that I listened there. Pirandello is like a Sicilian writer, was born in Agrigento, a city in Liguria, imaginary, something like this. Another one is this one. This is a picture. It's like another famous book from Italo Svevo. The title is a bit different. And I was telling, say like, hey, Antonio, you are confident to talk with the stupid people. Why don't you join FameLab? It was like something like this. Why don't you try like to explain science with really simple language? And that's why like I say, okay, let's try. But at the beginning it was quite hard because like I saw the video on the YouTube, and there's like a really, really amazing, you know, like speakers, someone, you know, like who walk over like her hands, someone like take like strange object, and I really didn't know how to prepare my talk. Say, what should I talk about? I mean, like I study cosmic rays for who you know, like a charged particle like who drop from the universe over your head, you know, like every second. And I say like, how can I talk people about cosmic rays? At the end, like people live quite well also without knowing anything about cosmic rays. At the beginning, I would say, oh, maybe I can ask like to the LNGS if they can lend me a detector. So I explain, hey guys, you know, the cosmic rays exist, like really. But at the end, talking with someone, with a friend, he told me the experience of FameLab does not like consist on, say like detect, you know, say like to convince people that the cosmic rays exist. But it's more about entertainment. It's not about enjoy, you know, like this experience. And like thanks to this advice, I was able like to prepare like carefully like my speech. My friend who gave me this advice, it was like the winner of the previous edition, Giovanni. Now he's became a fucking star, you know, like so. Now he's in Hungary, so like it's impossible like to reach. But he was like super nice, like to me, like to encourage me, like to join. So like. What did I talk about? One is like the cosmic rays, because I already introduced, but not like in the normal context. I mean, I talk about something half physics, half biology, half philosophy, too many half. It was like an experiment set in LNGS of many years ago. It's called PULEX, like who showed that the cellular mutation like is favored, is encouraged by this radiation, natural radiation that arrive like arrive here. So they take like some cellular tissues like from these animals and also from human, and they saw that thanks to these cosmic rays we are able like to evolve easily. So it was something that I really liked, because I was thinking that, you know, like these particles came from universe mutation, so like stars and galaxies explode and they produce these particles, and we evolved thanks to the evolution of the universe. It was something that I really liked, but I think that they don't appreciate a lot. I mean, not more than the others. The second talk, I think that it was like more basic, more easy like to understand, was about really now everybody talk about that, but at the time, 1 year ago too, about this. Anna, what is this? Flat Earth, of course. The internet is full of a lot of meme, or this is in Italian, about Flat Earth. Yeah, but because this one is like is the map of the. Yeah, according to the Society of Earth Flat, this is like the map, and of course, like Australia does not exist. Andra that girl, like I've been in Australia 2 weeks ago, and she confirmed you that Australia does not exist at all. So I will start like to talk about what if these people are right? I mean, what is like if the Earth like was really flat? And so like I start like to analyze from a scientific point of view, like for just like all the consequence about the flat Earth. So how change the gravity, how change the season, how change the day and the night. At a certain point, preparing this stuff, I had like a tennis ball, and I was, like showing like how this drop like with a normal gravity and with flat Earth. And the day before I did this talk, I've been to the GSSI auditorium like to try, because I was super sure that like dropping this ball like I was not like hurting no one, like especially for the jury that was like super close to me. At a certain point, trying and retrying, a person appears to me. It was our rector, Eugenio Coccia, who told me, "Oh, you are challenging FameLab. Oh, congratulations! Like, be proud. Like GSSI, yeah." At a certain point, maybe Chiara or someone else talk to him and say, "We are really few participants. We have like to invite Marco Drago to join." Marco Drago is like this handsome guy in the first time, and he told me, "Oh, Marco Drago is like the best. Like he already win." I said, "Yes, this is like a good purpose like to start." So I was super depressed, but at the end I was able like to go, and at the end I win. So as Max told you, all the people who win like in the local selection go like to a masterclass in Perugia. These 3 days I really love it, because I have like before like a human experience with these other 17 guys. And not only I'm talking about science, but we used like to go out and drink. I think like yeah, I mean, like it is a competition, so it looks like that it should be like a competition, but it was like everybody's happy or something like this. But I have like to do like a special mention like to someone here, because like there's Massimiliano's doing a great job, Leonardo, Mattia, but the most impressive one to me was like this clochard. That is not a clochard, but it's Frank Burnett. It's like this one of the FameLab founder. It was really super nice to us. Like few days before the finals, I sent him an email like to say, "Hey, can you help me? Like I have some doubts about my speech," and it was super nice like to help you. And he came like to see us at the final here, like talking with us. So as I told you, like the final was at Auditorium Parco della Musica. As I told you, here were everybody. It was nice. I didn't win, as you know. Here there's a picture with me, the chicken, and the favorite Eugenio Coccia speaker. And the chicken, yeah. And I don't know, like maybe I choose a topic maybe too complicated for the final, because I wanted to show that like complicated theories in physics are not only for physicists. For example, one of the applications that I want to bring is like the GPS. It's an object, a device that everybody has, but without general relativity correction, it cannot exist. But I think like I waste too much time like to explain what is general relativity. In fact, I think the judge does not appreciate. They were like quite rude, but I think like it's part of the game. So let's say, let's continue. At the end, I think that I strongly encourage you like to join FameLab for a couple of reasons at least. First, as Maxoli, is a lot of fun. I remember maybe more like all this fun period than others. Second thing is, I think like is also like improve you a lot. About talk about science. Three is something that I want to say, because someone asked me before, like it's not compulsory to talk about a really important and complicated argument. Like the last two winners, Ricardo is like the guy with the sunglasses, and also like the previous winner, talk about really simple things. I mean, he talked about a book that he wrote. He's like a first-year student of physics in Padova. And the girl before him talked about resonance. It is something that you study even in the high school. So if you feel that you have an argument, even, I don't know, try to understand how a computer works. Like, it's something that could be like a really, really nice talk. And as a fourth motivation, because I was able to do that. I mean, like, I'm showing you a picture that I hope that you don't know what is it, but it's like really typical of my childhood. Do you know what is it? Hope no. When I was 5, maybe it was more, it was what in Sicilian is called the babbalecco. So I was not able like to speak. Like I was like this. And I spent, you know, like there's my books when I was younger, they are full of this because I was not able like to breathe while I was speaking. And so like a doctor give me like some points or this slash to say me, okay, here take a break and after continue to read. And so, like, if I look at me like now, I say, hey, I starting from here, and I was able, like, to speak well, like, to be understandable into a jury and to win. So I think that if I was able to do that, I think all of you, like, can do that. And maybe next year, if they force you to do this speech as I did, you maybe can invite me. Thank you for your attention. If there are any questions,
So now, after one that won, speak one that lose. So you have all the stuff. I may try to give something unfortunately more serious on the fact that how it's possible to bring the science on a stage. So, of course it's possible because there are people doing that, but I just give you some suggestions how to do that. And I must admit that I took this suggestion to the past edition, so I just took example of people in the past edition, how they did this. So first of all, I give you some personal advice. A lot of people, when you have to speak to the audience, give the first suggestion like, think that you are speaking to a young boy. It is very stupid suggestion, but it works. So really, think that you are speaking to a very young child, speak easily so every person can understand you. And I want to say this because when I was making an outreach speech, I was interviewed by a journalist, and I was saying, you know, this morning I was speaking to the same object, to the people, to the children to elementary school. And he said, wow, you are speaking gravitational wave to elementary school. Yes, how? Well, in the same way I'm speaking this evening to the adults. It's the same. So don't think that every science speak is also too difficult, because it's not true. If you find an argument that is very difficult, maybe you have to change, but not the argument, the approach. And the example that I usually make this is this. This is the equation of Einstein about general relativity. And what they say is that on the left there is matter, on the right there is space-time, and when you have matter modifies space-time, and when you have space-time, the matter just follows space-time. You don't understand anything, of course, because I used the wrong approach. But if I change my approach, sorry, I forgot that. If I change my approach, I can try to explain the same things in a different way. So imagine that space-time, so the space, is just an elastic thing like that. And when you have some ball going to elastic, of course the elastic is changing. This is obvious. This is the first part that I was saying before. And imagine another thing. When you have this elastic that is modified, and you just make a ball go into the elastic, the ball should follow the curvature. So it doesn't go straight, but it just follows. So this is another way to say the same thing that I said before, but at least now it's more clear, at least a little, I hope. maybe not. Look at your face. Another thing important is that you are scientists, and in the imaginary collective, people think the scientists are people with young clothes, go in the lab, don't speak to anyone. You know it's not true. Remember that. You are people in the real life, you live in real life, you speak with the people that are not scientists, so remember that. And also ask people to feed you because it's important. So, for instance, remember, you are in the world, remember and use it. This guy, I know him, maybe. And this is taken from the final. Actually, something that Antonio didn't say before is that at a certain time of the talk, he just took the telephone and used the telephone as an example, because GPS, you use GPS in the telephone. So stupid things, using common object is a good thing to make example in your talk. Another thing, I'm sorry, I have some video that are in Italian because I'm taking from the past edition, they were all Italian. So sorry for non-Italian people, I will explain later what they are saying. So you can make comparison. For instance, this is a good example.
Buongiorno signori e signori, benvenuti alla telecronaca dell'evento del momento. Ovviamente mentre sto parlando la gara è già iniziata lì, all'interno del nucleo solare, dove una bella fusione nucleare ha dato la giusta carica alle nostre particelle partecipanti a questa bellissima gara, lì dentro a milioni e milioni di gradi, e questo spiega il perché non sono lì a fare la telecronaca, ovviamente. Quello che stiamo
I personally don't like the way just try to explain the particle in the sun that come out from the sun. And instead of using, say, how would I say, just imagine that this particle in the sun are doing a car race. So it's just to make like a journalist say, oh, this is good race about blah, blah, blah. So it depends how you say that, but the idea is quite good.
Buongiorno!
No, not again.
L'hanno fatto almeno una volta nella
This is Giovanni in the final.
Sono due protoni e insieme ad altri miliardi e miliardi di protoni si trovano all'interno del Sole. A causa dei 15 milioni di gradi che ci sono lì dentro, loro si muovono all'impazzata fin quando due di loro non si incontrano, magari si piacciono e si vogliono avvicinare per darsi un innocente bacio. Bacio! Ragazzi, non fate timidi, ho solo 3 minuti, queste figuracce dopo ne riparliamo.
So another thing is that you can have a funny object in the sense this was using just something that he bought on the web, so to make this puppet were the protons that were doing the stuff. So you can use a funny object to make your science. Another example, I don't use the idea is that you know about Schrödinger cat. What is Schrödinger cat? So the idea was that Schrödinger put a cat in a box, and at a certain time of the life, the cat can be alive or dead, and you don't know. This is a quantum physics concept that is very common in the quantum physics. So you can explain that using a cat in a box. Maybe don't use a real cat because maybe people are upset of that. But you can explain that using a real box. So using also real object that you have to explain what you know. And another example of the same person.
Questa, invece, è la pallina di Erwin. Vedete, è più probabile che si trovi vicino alla mia mano, ma c'è una piccola probabilità che si trovi nel vostro frigo o sulla Luna. Certo, se le scattate una foto, riuscirete a determinarne la posizione. Ma se 10 di voi nello stesso istante scattassero una foto alla pallina, la troverebbero in 10 posizioni diverse.
So the idea there was another concept of quantum physics is the fact that it's very difficult to make a measurement of the things. So in quantum physics it's difficult to say this glass is here. And this was done by the person doing an example first with the, how do you say, the things? And that it was the ball, and then moving the ball so fast that you can reach. So using object is usually the most easy part. For instance, if you want to speak about pulsar, pulsars are some stars that rotate in the sky, and they make light going through the sky. Of course, it's difficult to bring a pulsar on the stage, but you can try to bring with you a lamp and simulate the pulsar with the lamp. This is also a nice idea to explain the same thing. And I was not able to do at the same time, but you understand? I was right. So, another thing, use your imagination. Have you ever seen a blonde Mona Lisa? Of course not, but the idea of this talk was to explain that in principle the color can change during the years. So I was making the example of a blonde Mona Lisa because maybe we don't know if when Leonardo painted it, the color was slightly different as they are now. And I think this was a good idea to win the final because it was the second one winning last year in L'Aquila. So handing, another thing, you can tell about real facts. Actually, I didn't know that, and I just copied from that site, that when Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin, actually he was very lazy and he just went out from home, leaving on the sink the food and the dish. And when he came back, he discovered that there was a lot of bacteria on the dish, instead on a part when there was practically the same thing of penicillin. So he discovered two things that day, that maybe it's better to clean the dishes and the penicillin. So this actually, for instance, can be a nice idea. If you want to steal, I don't mind, to the talk. So you tell a real story to explain a scientific fact. So final remarks speaks what you know. So as I already told you, it's better if you know the subject. It doesn't mean that you have to work in the subject, but at least you know what it is. Maybe 70, 80% of that is better. Be simple, but not obvious. Remember that in the jury there are also scientists, so not be too obvious. Be practical, so use object, example, whatever comparison, and have fun. So have fun for you, make fun for the audience, for the jury, but first of all, as all the people say, have fun, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense to do that. So thanks.
Domande, dubbi, perplessità? Doubts, questions? Non vedete l'ora di scappare via? Oppure non vedete l'ora di partecipare? Datemi un po' il termometro della situazione. Adesso passiamo con il questionario per iscriversi forzatamente. Allora, per questa seconda parte, ovviamente in qualsiasi momento potete fare una domanda, mi viene in mente una domanda sul regolamento oppure su un consiglio, in qualsiasi momento potete fermare. Whenever you want, you can stop and ask whatever about FameLab. But for this second part, more related maybe to science communication in general, I would like to play a little bit to find out some features, some tips you can use if you maybe you want to participate in FameLab, or even not, maybe some tips in science communication in general. And starting from, of course, from the criteria of FameLab. I would like now to prepare a small toolbox in science communication. No, not this. Sure. Sorry. Okay, this. A small toolbox just to know if, okay, I could be interested in science communication, I could be interested in participating in FameLab. So the criteria are this, general, very, very useful. But there's something before this criteria that I would like to point out, to underline. And actually, this is it, the audience. Because all this, all the public engagement activity or public engagement work is for the audience, actually. If we want to do something in science communication, the first thing we have to think is the audience. Of course, not necessarily this kind of audience, I mean a big audience. An audience can be actually 3 people in a bar. And there are several formats very good in talking to small groups of people. Very effective, maybe not with massive effects in dissemination and in outreach, but very, very effective. So, talking about the audience, I would like to propose you an activity, again, actually, really again. How many we are in this room? Contando tutti, poi vediamo che giochi. Sono perso. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 19, 20. Ok, siamo meno di quanto si può fare. I would like to ask you to stand up and join me in the end of this room, if you want to play with me. Okay. I would like to play with the goal, of course, but the goal I will talk about later. So please. Per questo l'ho interato prima, perché devo considerare. Just to play. If you want to play, this is just because.
Scusa, una domanda, cioè lei
Purtroppo da regolamento internazionale ci stiamo lavorando perché ovviamente le richieste c'è, ovviamente quelle cambiano, però no, non è un bottone di esecuzione, quindi facciamo un cerchio. Please, come in circle with me. Because
Play what you have to lose.
I just want you to tell you a bit more about myself, and not because it's important to tell, but it's important in order to know what you're going to do. Actually, I do science communication professionally. I do lots of science shows, which means that I have a very frequent relation with the audience. And so I've studied a bit what's important when you're with an audience. And then I'm also actually an improvisational theater actor. Do you know improvisation theater? It's a kind of theater, kind of show, without any kind of text, any kind of clue. Actually, you go on the stage, and people give you an advice, and you start with a scene with that advice. So I found some useful tips in improvisational theater that I can use, and I want to tell people also in science communication, because when you have no costumes, you know, makeup, no scenes, no scenography, nothing at all, no text, the only thing you have is the relation with the audience. And so I would like to do this game just to put yourself in the perspective which is important when I have a meeting with an audience. In this case, it will not be an audience. So, the game, presentation of the game. Please start just to walk in this small place. Just walk randomly. And of course, better if you're not all in a side, but just please feel all this small place. And then when when you cross somebody, maybe working with somebody, you just present yourself. Massimiliano, Marco. Okay. Very good. just to warm up this afternoon. Okay, so please walk in this room. Please walk. Okay, stop. Please stay where you are. Okay, second step. When you present yourself, actually, after this meeting, you exchange your names. I mean, chi che mi insegna davvero? No, prima ti presenti, quindi io, Massimiliano, tu sei Carlo. After this, I am Carlo, and he is Massimiliano. And you go with this name. Okay, so tu si parte con ognuno che scambia la mano. Ogni volta che si stringe la mano si scambiano i nomi, ma si parte con i nomi propri, ovviamente. Si parte con i nomi propri. Al primo scambio il nome sarà scambiato, quindi Massimiliano. So now I am Antonio, he is Massimiliano, and then Antonio. So, you all are scientists, I guess. So what should happen? I mean, it's not depending on definition. You are a scientist, of course, but a special one. Anyway, you do lots of maths, so anyway. What should happen in a wife?
Somebody gets problem.
Maybe after the time I get my name.
Okay, exactly. Maybe after some exchanges, I get my name, my proper name, my original name. When you gave your original name, you just out of the game. So you are out of the game, you put it aside because you add your name back. So, what will happen in a while?
But from when you get to the name of the first person, then you always have to say that name, or
No.
every person that you meet.
Very exchange. Every exchange, you change the name. Every presentation is an exchange of names. So in a while you will have back your name, you take out, and then she will have back your name. So if every exchange goes well, in the end we should have one final couple.
I see what you
It will be a mess.
It will be.
So we will have in the end just one couple with inverted names, and in the final meeting they will have their name back, and so the game will end. This is the goal. The goal is to end the game, meaning that everyone is out of it. Easy?
Yeah.
Ma dici, ok, invece adesso ci conosciamo. A te sto un bordello. Cazzo sei?
Okay, let's try. Maybe easier. Okay, let's start and walk and exchange names.
Antonio.
Che è già uscito? Alessia. Quindi sono Miriam e Alessia, che tu hai anche dentro adesso, è uscito. No, non è uscito. Lo sai,
Io non sono
io non faccio. Miriam è.
No.
Okay, just something maybe didn't went well. What could be the problem? Somebody forgot the name. So what's the advice to complete the game?
Maybe we are not enough.
We
We are not enough young.
Maybe you're not enough young. Maybe.
Sono abbastanza
Sì, lo so, ma che si...
Your memory is deteriorating. Okay, let's try again just one more time. And if the problem could be the memory, so please, the advice would be focus on memory.
I tried.
So you know what it's like, you know what you do, you always forget the name.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, because
When you have to present yourself to someone else, and you're Marco.
and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's the party syndrome. You know, when you're, of course, here maybe much or less you know you're
Sì, sì.
but in parties, oh, yeah. Oh, that's just like that. And then after a couple of seconds, you I can't believe you just told me, and I cannot remember. So that's important. Why that happened?
Because we are
Because
we are bad people.
no, that's not
We never go to parties.
it's not a moral.
Well, I am too old to go to parties.
Maybe you think a question of habit, but of course memory is habit also.
We focus on saying
Yeah, what's that?
we focus on saying
Yes,
Exactly.
paying attention to...
Exactly. That's the goal of this game, just to explicit the game. We are focused on ourselves, always. And the more we are concentrated and we think to be focused, I have to be focused because I'm on stage. I have to be focused when I am on stage. You go on stage and you keep focused on yourself and you forget completely the people there that are there for you, actually. Or maybe the jury. So, this is the very first advice I would like to give in every situation of public speaking or public engagement with whatever the audience is. 3 people, 600 people, please be open to the people and listen to the people. Of course, you have to talk in favor, you don't have to listen what people say, but listening in the meaning of be there with them. In this game, the most important part is not your name, you know your name. Almost, or the first part of the name. But what is important is the name they are giving to you. This kind of tension is exactly what a good presenter should reach on stage. Attention to the people not on the stage, but the people in the room, in the audience. So let's try again with this shift of attention, not focused on the name you have received yet. Of course, you have to keep it because you lose. You know. But if you take well the name, you will not forget. Okay, so let's try again. So please walk. Take maybe a breath before the next exchanging name presentation. Okay? So 1, 3, 2, 1. Please walk and check the names.
Alessia, Carlo.
essere fuori, me l'ho appena detto tu. Che è uscito verde bianco, uscito rosso?
Linea.
Who is in and who's out? Okay, stop. Let's see what's the name. So, okay, not good. Okay, so. Okay, one very last time. Let's try again for one last chance. Again. It is not, of course, this game is not compulsory to FameLab. You are not obliged to solve this game to participate in FameLab, of course. Because otherwise, it is just to explicit in yourself this kind of tension and intention. Okay, let's try it. Let's try again, and maybe one more suggestion is take time. If you are not ready to give a name, take time. You are not forced to. So just like, okay, now I am Martina. Okay, now I am Martina. Now I'm Martina and I'm ready. Take your time. Okay? Take your time. So, for the very last time, I will not give you one more opportunity to do this. So, please walk for the last time and start changing. 3, 2, 1, go. Vediamo chi c'è, non c'è, nome, last name you have in mind. Stefano. Miriam.
Quindi
You have
Just pretend!
almost. Okay, let's come back to the other side of the room.
quindi allora, questa sera ci vediamo tutto il tempo.
Okay. So just playing to find a way to stay on stage. I don't know, maybe you are used to stay on stage. Maybe some of you can have experience of stage for some, maybe musically, maybe you play an instrument, maybe you do concerts, or maybe you do some theater. But anyway, it is not required, of course, for participating in FameLab to have an experience on stage. This game was just to put you in a stage perspective. Oh, I want just to give some clues, some details. Okay. Some very important things in order to create a good presentation. Every presentation has a really, really big value if it's a story. Because the human mind is organized to be catched by stories. And a story is not just a collection of facts. So, what is the very basic story? What we can find as a story? I mean, not just story like fairy tales or there is a very, very inner structure that we can define as a story. What a story should have. What do you think? Some clear key points in definition of a story. Any suggestion? Do you like stories?
A character to focus on.
Okay, a main character, exactly. And a main character could be also not a person, of course. You can tell the story of a tool, maybe a tool that you use every day in your lab. Or, of course, can be a person or a group of persons. Anyway, one main character. And one, not more, just one. Then, what could be the other actions to make a story? One character, and this character is living in a world, and this world is an everyday world. The story, when you are not sure if your story, the story you are writing is power enough, always think Pixar movies. Because Pixar movies are the best course in storytelling you can get, and it's free. If you mind, every Pixar movie, and not only Pixar movie, of course, but they are very, very focused on this, start in a very stable situation. The everyday world. And the main character lives in this everyday world. Then, the story moves to a conflict, to a problem. Something happens to the main character that changes the equilibrium of this world. And so, what should the main character do? Try to solve the problem. And this could be easy, it could be less easy, it could be very difficult, and that's actually the central part. The travel in order to solve the problem. And you, of course, can have an opponent, a main character, an antagonist. Easy. That you can present, of course, as a contrast with the main character, and then in the end you have the solution of the problem, and the world can come back to a stable situation, but it's not the world. It is not exactly the same world you have seen in the beginning, because something has changed, and of course something has improved. This is the very, very, very more elemental structure of a storytelling you can have. So, it's up to you, of course, to decline this to a science presentation. Please consider that a story is a logic path organized this way, easy to follow from the audience. Other things you should keep in mind in order to have a good presentation. Please review your vocabulary in so many levels. The first level is, of course, the level of the jargon bubble, because we, as very specialized people in certain field, usually use words that are very, very clear for us, that are not no doubt that are a powerful word because they can reach a very good level of understanding of the world, but maybe that word is really nonsense for everybody else. So how can you spot your jargon? Just test. Just test it. And how can you test? Please take whoever you want, not whoever, maybe whoever except your mom, because your mom will always say, oh, that's very clear, yeah? And just test. What do you think if I say acido desossiribonucleico? Yeah, no, because in school we have, no. Please test several times, and then you can tune your level of jargon. But also, please review your vocabulary in general, even in Italian. Maybe you have some images in mind, not technical at all. You found a very, very powerful, you think, a metaphor for this phenomenon, but then that is related to something that people is not sharing with you. I make always this very, very silly example. Of course, nobody of you will use this, but do you mind, do you know when you put your pencil in your tape, when your tape is out, and you start turning, and so in the end you have your tape back? Of course, I'm relating to something that is not shared experience to nobody that is not my age, because nobody uses, of course, tapes no more. So, you neither, of course. Eh? Yes, exactly.
I am not old.
So the point is exactly how many in the audience will share this experience. So just this, test your thoughts. It was a very, very silly, of course, example, but there are so many traps in this sense. So you please test. Then when you choose an object, of course, consider the visibility of this object. Oh, I have this, and this is very important because nobody in the audience really can see what is it, because what is this, a key, a USB drive, or whatever. So in the eventuality you want to use an object, consider that everybody in the room can clearly see. And this kind of visibility is intended also for images that you evoke in the mind. I mean, not physical objects, but images you are able to develop in the minds of the people. They should be clear, even if they are not real. And then, maybe one of the most important things is plan your timing. 3 minutes are very, very, very small amount of time, but could be really, really, really annoying. And there is nothing worse than annoying people in 3 minutes. It's a kind of paradox, but of course, 3 minutes fulfilled with whatever can really resonate like nothing in minds of people. So what's the key to planning your time? The silence, pauses. This is really one of the most powerful tool you can have. 3 minutes are very small, so you will not tell really all what you want to say. But if you have a very important message, the way is just to take the time to the message to be delivered. Okay, let me go to just as an example to one presentation, and maybe I will close with that. A presentation of an international FameLab winner of several years ago. She's called Mirta Pierani. And let's watch this and maybe just comment with some closing remarks this presentation. It's in English. No, it is not.
how deep do you think the love of a mother for her child is? You see, we all have something in common. Once we were all embryos living peacefully inside our mother's belly in an excellent bed and breakfast environment without any distractions until our birth. But for scientists, this peaceful life inside our mother's belly has been one of the most fascinating mysteries in biology. This might sound strange, but surviving all 9 months inside the mother's body should theoretically be impossible. And in fact, in biology textbooks, this is called the pregnancy paradox. You see, this is because mothers, like all humans, are naturally designed to fight off anything foreign that enters the body, bacteria, viruses, even organ transplants. And this is due to a complex but elegant protection mechanism we all have called the immune system. Now, your immune system knows you better than your best friend. In fact, it knows you better than anyone else in the world. It knows every single cell in your body, so it can realize when something foreign comes in and attack. Imagine your immune system as the police force, where specific cells act as a military intelligence, traveling everywhere in your body, seeking out for possible intruders. And if they find them, then they send a report to another department, where soldiers called the killer cells destroy those invaders. Now think of this. As an embryo in your mother's body, you were only 50% like her. Your other 50% belonged to a total stranger to her immune system, just a random guy. Oh well, your dad. So being 50% like your dad inside your mother's body means your chances of surviving pregnancy should have been 0. Yet, we're all here. Believe it or not, scientists have been struggling with this paradox for the past 50 years. Some argued that maybe the embryo finds a way to hide from the mom's immune system. Others said that the placenta provides a physical barrier between mother and baby. We might not have a full answer yet, but a few years ago, scientists found something amazing. The mother's immune system does see the baby. The military intelligence identifies the growing embryo and informs the killer cells of the intruder. But the mother's killer cells, instead of destroying the embryo, they themselves commit suicide and die. So in the particular area in the belly where baby and mother meet and shake hands, the mother destroys her own immune system for the sake of her growing baby. And this is taking the love of a mother for her child to a whole new molecular level. And that's how deep the love of a mother for her child is. Thank you.
Com'è? Brava. Of course, it is not the average level of FameLab presentation. Don't worry. Of course, I've picked up maybe one of the best, just to make in these few minutes some kind of anatomy of this presentation with you. So I would like you to tell me what you liked and what you think was working well in this presentation. Voce. The happy ending. Good. The ending is, of course, one of the most important things. And what's this? The bell ringing for a good ending. Of course. When the applause don't come, it means that that does not mean that the presentation was bad. That means just that the end was not clear. Because for social constraints, we are obliged to clap the end, even if you don't like the presentation. But if you don't clap, that means, oh, maybe. So, please work in order to prepare people to land to the end of the presentation. And the strategy she adopted is very clear because two tools. One is the change of the rhythm of the talk. She, in the end, really started breaking, stopping, frenando. And the other is maybe more about the structure, the story, because in the end, she gave the answer to the first question she made. How deep the love of a mother for his child is? And then, and that is how deep the love of a mother is. So, quite a circular structure. It is very elegant, and we all are very relaxed. It's how human mind works. Other impressions? Any other?
The enthusiasm. Use a lot of enthusiasm during all the work.
Yeah. And we can spot this enthusiasm by, of course, her openness, her deep eyes, very wide open eyes, and that are creating, of course, engagement. Other things you like? Maybe just a couple I want to explicit. One is the use of humor. It was not a humoristic presentation. It was not a comedy presentation. There are so many FameLab very good presentations that are comedy, actually. Giovanni Gianni, just to make the name of the day, and so many other, even in the international contest. Of course, every country has this particular kind of humor, but it is not, as FameLab is not theater, FameLab is not comedy, you are not obliged to one kind of presentation. But this is the important thing in this presentation. In just one precise moment, she used the comedy register, the use a bit of humor. And it was when, in the middle, just exactly in the middle of the presentation, she talked about the random guy, the father of the world. And that is very well used because that was maybe the point, the weaker point of the presentation, the point maybe where people could go down with their attention. And the use of comedy is something that immediately raised the attention in the audience. So it was not just, oh, okay, she's a comedian, so she will do jokes. No, it was a very, very calibrated use of humor. And the other tool, very powerful tool, is the emotional level of this presentation. Because she is relating to something we all deal with, the mom. And, of course, in the contrary, the use of emotions during all the presentations. And then it is very linked to their scientific topic, the molecular level of the love. So she's introducing emotion, but not separated from the topic. So I think that it's a very powerful presentation for all these reasons, and maybe so. It's of course compulsory to make people cry, neither to laugh, but tools that you can use in your, in general. I mean, in FameLab of course, but in general, when you are talking to people, if you use examples like the example Marco and Antonio wrote before, with the common objects, something people can relate to, it's a clean channel you are opening with people. So consider always the people. Okay. Thank you very much for being here. I will be here. If you have questions you want if you want to know more about something, I'm here for a bit. And then thank you very much. Thank you, Antonio. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, of course, Università dell'Aquila, Laboratori Nazionali del Sasso e i padroni di casa, GSK.
Grazie.
E adesso tutti iscriversi.
The deadline to register is March 8th, so if you're interested.
Stanno crescendo.
Okay, now it's all right. I'm glad.
Parlando della chiesa degli animi, quello proprio lì che esce il piccoletto.
Sì, noi abbiamo con il social abbiamo il programma che guarda le date delle selezioni, quindi ovviamente sono partiti a gennaio con le promozioni, con un sacco di strumenti sia su Instagram che su Facebook che funzionano, c'è il locale adesso tra quelli diciamo attive sono a Firenze e sta funzionando bene, nel senso che vediamo proprio tra gli iscritti che dicono cosa è da Facebook, quindi esatto, normalmente parte un mese prima, quindi questo sarà il periodo. Il sito ieri ha mandato le comunque poi tra l'altro fanno su territori poi la mi sono mandati su territori limiti. C'è
Può iniziare a parlare di quanto sono le zucchine